Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Alright, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I have Richard VK7 ZBX in the studio. Welcome, Richard.
Good day, Justin.
How you going?
Ah, fantastic. It's Wednesday.
Excellent.
Hump day.
It is. It's all downhill from here. Now, Richard is in the studio for a couple of reasons. Both to do with microwaves, contacts.
I'm heating up tea and something.
Long distance microwave contacts.
Yeah.
So what we might do, Richard, is a couple of weeks ago we had some excellent Hepburn type tropo activity.
We did.
Between here and somewhere else.
So here in New Zealand, there was lots of yellow and light green appearing on the Hepburn chart, which signified some really good operating potential.
Yep.
So Rex sort of alerted me to this and suggested that it looked quite promising.
Okay.
That promising, in fact, that Roger ZL3RC was going to chuck all the stuff in his car and drive to the other side of the island, which is
a major undertaking.
Certainly no mean feat, my goodness. I think it's 400 odd kilometres, which is
via the Alpine Pass, I think it is, or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. It's just, oh my god.
Sure it wasn't
Yeah.
So I thought, look, I really need to try and sort of get amongst this. And unfortunately, as I'm very happy to know that it was a Saturday. So and it was a nice day. It was a really nice day. So so I trotted up to the spot just below the springs.
Yes.
People in Hobart will probably be familiar with just the big right-hander just before you get to the springs.
Yep.
There's a little area where you pull off to the left with a stone wall that's sort of...
Looks out over Bruni and...
Yeah. Or more importantly, looks out over the top of the top of Mount Nelson College, in which that's the direction where Roger was. So.
Fantastic.
So to the delight of many onlookers, I set up the truck up there and had the dish and set it up quite nicely so that the little shade was up so I could take cover from that thing.
Okay.
Set up the 1296 antenna, just the little club one, the 15 element jobby.
Okay.
And just 10 watts out of the 9700, and when we thought it should have been working, there was nothing on any waterfalls, and it was like, okay. So, waiting. waiting. Oh, was that a few lines? Yep, no.
You start to see things. You start to hear things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, was that my call sign? No. But then look, after probably 3 hours or so,
Okay.
we started to see a few signals between Rex and Roger. They were just sending 1,000 hertz tones on opposite periods.
Yep.
And the signal started to get quite good, and I think Rex, I'm not sure, it was a little bit different because there was some opportunities when there was some times when Rex was hearing it really well, and there was times that I was hearing it really well, and they weren't at the same time. It was
interesting.
Which is part of the reason why Rex has spent a fair bit of time looking into it.
Yeah.
Lots of subducts and all sorts of really cool things.
Okay.
But once the signals came up, I think I worked Roger at it was quite weak. I think minus 20, minus 17 maybe, which was pretty good. Like 10 watts on 1296. I was pretty happy with that.
You've still got like 10 dB spare, like.
But then it's like, oh, so when do we try 10 gigs?
Yep.
So again, another couple of hours. We're just sort of sending tones and looking, and we worked it so that I think Rex and I were both sending at the same time. I was sending 800 hertz and Rex was sending 1,000 hertz, so we could sort of give Roger double the opportunity. Well, then I'm pretty sure as it went, Rex rang me and said, "Roger's seeing you. He's not seeing me."
Okay.
So
that's bizarre.
Yeah, well, I was at 676 metres, I think it was.
So above Rex.
Yeah, and as it turned out, that was the slightly stronger duct than the one that was at Rex's place.
Okay.
And after we both worked Roger, Rex goes, "Oh, geez," he said, "I wonder what it'd be like at 1,100 metres at the top of the mountain." And I said, "Oh, I'm really tempted to go up there." And he goes, "Oh, well, it's up to you. But last time I went up there and tried to set up, the only vantage point to look to New Zealand is where there's angry bus drivers.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't like weirdos setting up ham radio gear and."
Yes.
So
or risking life and limb and going across the other side of the road. Yes.
well, Rex and I spent a fair bit of time looking at where there's that car park just before you, like the big turning circle there. Well, down around that corner, there's a spot where you actually pull over on the side of the road and go through like a little walkway, and you walk out onto those great big boulders. I'm sure you can tell me the geological name.
It's Dollarite. It's all Dollarite up there.
Great big rocks, and you sort of got to like hop from rock to rock. And there's a spot out there which actually is good for Roger, but the problem is you've got to get the tripod out there, the dish out there, the generator out there, and it all just becomes too hard. So but no, look. So we didn't take that opportunity, but look, it ended up coming good. And Rex has done some analysis, and I think he said that it ended up I was about 9 dB better off on average.
Whew.
So the intensity of the duct at
difference
of 240 odd metres or something.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
And the signals, there was quite a bit of really fast QSB on some of the signals, to the point, because of the really good forward error correction of the Q65, it could sort of still get decodes, but Rex being Rex analysed it down to like each sort of bin, and was sort of able to see on spectrum that there'd be bits missing.
Okay.
Because of the really rapid QSB.
Yeah. Okay. It would have been fascinating to have had like Rex at home, you at the springs, and then somebody at the top.
Yeah, that's right.
And because you just don't get that opportunity to see.
And I think that was why Rex was really happy, because we were able to get virtually simultaneous data. So we were both able to decode Roger at the same time, or not. And he was able to decode, especially when we would sort of take it at turns at sending. But it was some really interesting sort of data. But the best I decoded Roger was -7.
Ooh, that's
and like
good.
-7 on 10 gigs is pretty damn good.
Yeah, wow. That you're hearing it.
That's right.
You're hearing it. You're hearing the tones.
That was audible, and we were really hoping that they were going to build.
Yep.
We were going to do SSB. But I'm pretty sure Rex didn't see -7. I think he was 13s, 14s, 15s.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely
But
fascinating.
yeah, no,
Richard.
it was. I was chuffed because I'd never done it before. So
Oh, truly.
it's always sort of pretty nice to go and set up somewhere and actually have a success.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was great.
Congratulations. Is that your first 23 centimetre ZL?
I think it is. Yes. Yeah, I think it is.
2 firsts in one day.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh no, good stuff. And it also proves that you take notice of the Hepburn charts.
Well, it's really, it's one of those things that you sort of just got to like look at sort of how it's forming and sort of go, well, give it a shot, because it's just a bit of an unexacting science, really.
And we don't get those sort of opportunities very often.
Not at all.
Not down here, anyway.
Not at all. So.
Maybe if you're on the northwest coast of
Oh,
Australia.
look. I don't want to listen about all the opportunities they've had up the northwest coast, right? Those guys have just been lapping up DX flat out. Like, goodness gracious.
And then go a bit further afield, and you go up to the northwest coast of Australia, so up around Broome and down there, and the intensity of those ducks is just scary.
just pink
Just
all
phenomenal.
the time.
Anyway.
No, it was really good, and hopefully, like you say, it's the sort of thing that if you get a bit of activity, then maybe more people will sort of get on, and
Correct.
it's
It fuels itself.
yeah.
And hello to Muzz, to Murray,
Good day, Mars.
and Anthony, and also David. Oh, David's on, and I think David's next door as well. So there you go. And we've got Steve, VK700 in the studio, who's going to give us a little interesting little insight into his setup on the field day, which Richard's going to give us right now. So the other thing that happened last Sunday was
Open day.
our open day.
Gee.
And I have to say, our very, very popular open day. Let me just refer to this so that I get this right. We think that we had about 70 to 80 people.
Okay.
Now, 20 of those were REAST people, so, okay. Putting that aside, we still had a lot of people go through. So we had 9 that expressed interest to Reg about future assessments.
Good work.
We had 3 women who expressed interest in becoming involved in ALARA activities with Linda.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Sure.
We sold 4 23 centimetre yagi kits, and we've only got one down
We've
there.
got one left.
Only got one left. We sold 2 foundation license manuals, so fantastic. And we had 2 renewals of membership. So there you go.
Excellent.
And we put many, many contacts into the club logbook, I understand. So, so we even scored a profit from the barbecue and the coffee and the sausage sizzle and sweet
Considering
stand.
Tony's awesome effort.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
So, and that profit's actually going into providing a free barbecue at the AGM this Sunday. So there you go.
Make sure you turn up.
We also had, and this was a bit fascinating, and I've got a photo to show you about this in a sec. We had a Russian amateur turn up.
Oh, nice.
Guy called Alex, and I can't pronounce his last name, but I'll show you his last name, who is ER1BA, so Echo Romeo 1 Bravo Alpha, from Moldova. And he's here with his family, his Tasmanian / Australian family, and wanting to get back on the air.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to help him out there. So we exchange contacts and everything. Now the big thing was Richard had his cloud burner arrangement, so his 1.8 metre dish, and came along for the second. The second
airing.
The second airing. Slightly further afield than the first airing.
Yeah. Well.
But give us a bit of a
I don't know if you've got any photos that you can put up.
I do. If I can find my cursor, I'll just bring up.
So yeah, we've been spending a fair bit of time on this project, and finally, I'm not really quite sure what the impetus was to get it all done. I think probably the open day.
Cool. Okay. We'll take that.
So it had its first airing on the Saturday before the open day,
Yep.
where I worked Rex. So
Here we are.
so there it is. That's at the club. That's at the club. Yeah. So basically, it's trailer mounted. It has got forecasters. It's designed to be sort of wheeled around, which is what it'll sort of end up like at my place. But it was quite tricky to get on the trailer, so we opted to leave it on the trailer.
Okay.
So basically, we just had some levelling screws that just basically sort of got the thing pretty level.
Yep.
It's got a rifle scope on the side of it for sort of for where it's aiming.
Up here.
So we did a quick sun noise check to make sure that the rifle scope was calibrated, and it obviously hadn't survived the trip down in the car very well. So the rifle scope was a mile off. So with the help of actually Steve, who's in here with us.
Oh, actually, there might be a picture here of Steve doing this.
Yeah, so Steve kept his eye on the
Peeled?
on the crosshairs and told me how far out it was, and I'd sort of peek up using the noise meter and peek up on sun noise, and then sort of jump up and align the rifle scope to it.
Oh yes, yeah, with mine too. Back in
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, videos.
I thought I had one of Steve looking through the rifle scope. But
There's Steve there.
I wasn't there at the time you were doing that though. I wasn't there when you were lining up the rifle scope. Somebody else must have been helping.
Okay. So anyway, so once we basically had realigned, recalibrated the rifle scope, we then basically turned it around and aimed it at, sort of got the software to agree where it was, and it started auto tracking. So it tracked the sun for a little bit to sort of prove that it was working. So then I just told it to track the moon, and we verified that the crosshairs of the rifle scope were indeed pointing at the moon. We could just see, you couldn't see with the naked eye, but if you look through the rifle scope, I think it was about
14%.
Was it 14?
It was 14. I remember you saying.
Okay, I can't remember. I think it was 14 or something.
So if you knew where you were looking, you'd probably be able to see it, but you'd need to know where to look.
At one point you could see it,
Yeah.
but a bit later in the day you couldn't.
Because the sun obviously got a lot closer, and
Yeah.
but once we sort of had it on the money, it stayed on there good enough to have a contact for probably 2 hours, which
Okay. Cool.
I was pretty happy
Can't
about
complain
that.
about that. That's excellent.
So
That is excellent, excellent. Now, if I actually go backwards here, there is. Sorry, I'm bouncing around here.
it's pretty orange too.
Now, what we have in the studio is the actual electronics that sits on the back of the dish.
Yeah.
So,
What do you want to do this?
what I'm going to do is going to zoom down, zoom over.
You want to see the front? The front's probably not very exciting.
Well, this is where all of the. Just let me. There we go. That's a bit better.
Oh, level it up.
So what we've got, 10 gig RF input.
10 meg reference.
Sorry, 10 gig. 10 meg RF input to lock everything. We've got 144 meg IF.
Yep.
Push to talk.
Yep.
Fuse switch. Various ammeters. Your voltage in 13.8 volts.
Yep.
What sort of current are we talking about for the unit?
The PA draws about 10 or 11 amps at 10.5 volts,
Okay.
and then the rest of it is sort of milliamp stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And then a whole lot of LEDs down the bottom here,
Yep.
which tell you a
Three
various.
of them are not actually appearing in this film because I couldn't be bothered taking them off the little subboard that Jack provided. So.
Yes. So if you turn it round, and we'll zoom in a bit more. That's probably. Oh well, and now the business end of the
This is the 10 gig bit.
this is certainly the 10 gig waveguide switch. So and you can see the motor that drives the waveguide. That bolts onto the waveguide, the crook feed, the Shepherd's crook
That's
feed.
correct, yep.
on the dish.
In its current thing, it's vertically polarised.
Right. Okay. And you're working on making it.
Yeah. So basically, what I need to do is just turn it around, turn the feed around, and then just bolt it on like that.
Cool.
Or 45 degrees.
Yeah.
There's 8 holes.
Yep.
So just
Okay.
rotate the whole thing around. So you can probably see underneath there. That's the preamp. That's the waveguide preamp.
Yeah. So that basically the waveguide, the WR75 waveguide comes straight out into that preamp.
Yep.
So you get absolutely no loss.
And when you hit the transmit, basically it flips the little doodad around.
Yep.
And directs the energy from the SMA to waveguide
Transition.
transition. Thank you for that. And that just basically goes straight out. So the good thing about the waveguide switch is this particular one has some interlock switches.
Okay.
And I've used those to basically make sure that you can't bias anything on to transmit until it's gone from receive to transmit.
To transmit. Fantastic.
So there is no. So if something happens and the thing doesn't switch, then nothing gets biased on.
Okay. Now, what I'll get you to do is sit it on this end and just stand it on here, and we'll zoom in, and then we'll have a look at what's inside. So we can see the PA there.
Yeah, so that's the PA that we got from Jack and the rest of the boys at the Netherlands
Oh, truly.
club.
They do a fantastic job.
Yeah, like it's even customizers got the course on, and they actually measure how much power out.
They do all.
Some people are really lucky and get like they buy
Oh.
a 20 watt amp and they get 25 watts.
25.7
Some of us
watts.
only get
20.7.
20.7.
25.7. Yeah.
But basically,
Just put it out there.
Yeah, just. I'm not bitter, really.
No.
Not at all. So that's basically the heatsink I chose was a pair of the J-Car tunnel heatsinks, which probably if we
Which is excellent. If
we do that,
Yeah.
it basically is the two pieces.
So they slide together.
They slide
don't
together, and
Yeah.
the fan mounts on the end.
Yep. Okay.
Bit of the heatsink paste you can see sort of oozing out there.
Cool.
So with 100 watts in and 20 watts out, you're obviously producing a lot of heat.
That's right. Yeah.
Hence the rather large heatsink and
When
forcing air through it.
When we were doing the Q65, which is like 50% duty cycle, it was above body temperature, but it certainly didn't get what I would call anywhere near warm or hot. Right?
Okay.
It's got a thermostatically controlled fan on the end that's run off a little sort of normally open thing that triggers at 40 degrees.
Okay.
Just turns 12 volts onto the fan. So, but the other thing you can probably see in there is the little DC to DC converter,
Yes.
which is sort of
Little
here.
heat sinks.
So the basically 13.8 volts comes from the supply and heads off to a little DC board.
Yep.
That Jack provided, which basically switches the 10.5 high current to the PA and provides the negative 5 volts bias voltage
In the right sequence.
in the right sequence and make sure that you can't. So out of that board is then that little DC-DC board, so it turns the 13.8 volts into 10.5. And because obviously when you draw sort of 10 amps at that sort of thing, you get a little bit of voltage droop, so you can just sort of tweak it a little bit. So
That's good.
making sure you maintain 10.5, 10.7 is sort of maximum, but 10.5 is nice and safe. And
Cool.
we don't like making €500 errors.
No.
So then there's just the Kuhn transverter just over here on the side, which is pretty sort of standard.
Box.
And there's
Very nice little transverter.
they are, and then there's just a little bit of not sure what else really.
There's glue. What's this board here? Richard?
This board is a little W6 PQL. I forgot about that. It's a little W6 PQL switching board. That's quite a cool one because these waveguide switches, as you're probably aware, are actually they switch on minus 12 volts. So these little things that have like a little FET that switches, they'll actually switch minus voltage. So that basically takes the push to talk input from the radio, and basically then it tells the waveguide switch, it provides the pulse to flip the waveguide switch over, and then that sets everything in motion by running the bias through the switches in that.
So it's a little sort of sequencer board, but it does a bit more than just a sequencer board.
Yeah, it's not a sequencer board in the way that we're used to where you can adjust timing.
Yep.
But basically, it does the switching to activate the waveguide switch.
Okay, fantastic.
But,
That is very nice, Richard.
the only other little bit is there's a little relay here, which is a little bit unusual. That's bit of a cheater's way of having a transmit and receive LED on the front.
Okay.
So the output from the transverter has a open collector that basically.
Yep.
I just use that to flip a 12-volt relay, and
Okay.
then you have normally closed is the green LED, and
Yep.
normally closed is the red LED for transmit. So
Fantastic. Fantastic. And that all bolts onto the back of... In fact, hang on.
and that's the really quite the
That's it there.
bit where we need to have a little bit of improvements with the engineering, because getting it like I don't obviously keep the feed in it, especially when it travels. So you can see the screws around the outside there. The very small screws.
They're
They'll be replaced. Yeah, they are. I'm thinking about giving them a bit of an upgrade to like maybe M5.
Yeah. That's
And
a
then
great
making
idea.
some like wing nut.
Yeah. M5 or go to like an M5 size, but with a much finer thread or something on it. So, because the coarseness of M5, you're only going to have like 1.5 threads
That's right.
for the thickness of the material.
I think the material's probably about 6, maybe 8 millimeters thick.
Oh, okay. No, well that'll
so
be
it's-
right.
so
No,
it's-
that'll be right. That'll be right.
But then actually the little M4s that go into the waveguide switch,
Yep.
they're a bit sort of tricky because you've got to like hold it up. And
Yeah. Okay.
I did think about having like cutting a little slot in it so you could basically put 2 bolts in and then sort of drop it over.
Oh yeah.
Then of course when you turn it around, those slots would be on the side. So.
Okay. No. Well, you put it this way. You got there, and you made. Hang on. Now I meant to queue up a video here, so just bear with me because
You got some video, did you?
I got some video.
I love being on video.
Now just
What's just happened?
now we'll just stop that. Stop it.
Stop that.
Stop it. Now, here's Richard on the day talking about the very impressive. Let's see if I can get it working. No, that wasn't right. What did I do just then?
Hard to say. You're worried.
Oh, that's stop, you dick. Okay. So, that's because I can't quite see.
The plays. That's off there.
What's just happened? So, just made contact with 2 people via EME. Worked Roger, ZL3RC in New Zealand.
Cool.
And worked Rex, VK7MO. Extremely long distance contact, 6 kilometres that way as the crow flies. The radio signals went 730,000 kilometres.
And it took how long?
2.6 seconds. And I received him at -16, which was almost audible. I'm sure with a bit of imagination you heard the odd tone.
Excellent. Okay.
So, quite
Pretty
strong.
unique function.
And,
Imagination.
Q65 can sort of go down to -28, -29, maybe -30. So
Definitely not hearing that.
definitely not. That was really good. And Roger was the same. Was hearing him at -13, -14. So really good.
Fantastic. Thanks.
So, oh, hang on.
Oh, well, a word from our sponsor.
Well, a word from our internet sponsors. So, and there we go. That's a bit better. Now, let me even give you a slightly better focus than that. So that is fantastic, Richard. That is really, really good. And so the $64,000 question. You put a absolute shed load of time into this over the last week or two, as well as this has been a 5-year type of project.
It's sort of accelerated. It's been a bit logarithmic. It's accelerated. Caught sort of an upward trend.
And you should have heard him complaining about how much work there was involved.
I'm just a slacker. Just very poor time management. But,
No, that's all right. That's all right.
but my only sort of saving grace is that I've probably built 3 of them as far as the tracking systems go. And, and there's lots of deviations, like you see another shiny bit, you go, oh, I can make it do that.
Squirrel.
So,
Okay.
but
So
no, look, it's all good. I was pretty happy.
fantastic. And so what's ahead? So you've now got an arrangement that you can wheel out of the shed and set up.
Yeah. Look, it's a real shame that that the German beacon's broken. Poor old Per put so much work into keeping that beacon going, and it's obviously winter time over there, and I think when the Germans have snow, they don't mess about.
Correct.
That's
I think
why it's broken.
Well, you know, but it's obviously a reasonably old system, and I don't know whether they're buying parts from the manufacturer, or whether they're making parts.
They're
or,
probably making parts. That's
you
the
know,
thing.
If you like, I've pulled my hair out trying to steer a 1.8 metre dish.
Yeah.
I could just only begin to imagine
Well, that's a
engineering with a 7.3 metre.
7.3 metre, and it's a leopard tank
Yeah.
mount.
Which it would need to be.
Which but just phenomenal.
So, you know,
Yeah.
and they put so much effort into it, those guys over there,
Yeah.
and I think they had a win, and then it broke again. Like, so I think he said it'd be some time, which is quite a shame, because the moon beacon was always used as a bit of a yardstick measuring thing.
Correct.
Um,
That's the first thing I ever heard off the moon.
Yeah, well, I decoded it with that.
With my own equipment.
I decoded it with that sort of
So,
that little horn aperture, which was
well and truly.
damn flush. But look, there's quite a few people you sort of converse with when you're building this stuff.
Yep.
And quite a few of them have seen Hayden's video, and they're like, "So, when are we making a skid?" So
Fantastic.
I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks, when the spreading's good for sort of Europe,
Yep.
I can sort of maybe make a few contacts. I'm hoping it's going to be in gentlemen's hours, but you know, I suspect not. What is it with EME and 4 a.m.?
I just heard Rex laugh from Tolman's Hill.
Yeah. I was astonished at that, even like, and it was actually funny when we worked on Sunday. Rex said, and like, Rex has worked pretty much. He's the man on EME, and he's like, do you know what? He goes, I've never worked anyone with the antenna at 70 degrees before.
It's always been. He's looking at horizon
That's
stuff.
right, so.
You know, it's a duct off to the horizon.
He wants the other side of the globe.
That's right, yeah.
It's
So,
not the neighbours next door.
and even Roger said, "Oh, geez, he goes, that's a bit of a challenge."
Yeah, I don't know
He
whether
set
it
it up
goes up
on the
that far.
side to sort of look at the rifle scope, and all of a sudden it's like,
Well, I have to say, Richard, I wouldn't have been able to do it with the mount on the 600mm dish.
Yep.
Because the counterweight would actually take over and would almost flip the dish. Because it's not designed to go.
The whole thing when we designed that was initially it was designed to be 360 degrees because we were going to chase satellites with it.
Yep.
And the amount of time that Murray and I spent, and like, you know, Murray's put in we spent lots of coffee and lots of brainstorming in the early days, and we came across a thing called angular geometry.
Okay. Yes.
Actually, gate geometry, I think it was. So you can work out, you've got, you know, an actuator that's, you know, this much retracted, this much extended.
Yep.
You know, do the math to work out.
Here's where it's pointing.
This is where you need to mount it.
Oh, okay. On the yes.
So that you get 0 to 90 degrees, you know. And there was lots of cardboard templates made. And,
Fantastic.
You know, in the end, I think we actually stopped retracting, and we actually had two of the actuators. We actually had one extended and one retracted because we just got sick and tired of like, okay, measure that. Okay, now measure that. So, but that was, and the way it works now, when I push that into my shed, that bottom of that actuator sits about 4 inches off the ground.
Yeah, okay.
So, because I noticed you were a bit concerned, it looked like it was going to fall over, but it's like really quite stable.
Yeah, my OH&S hat on. Sorry.
But it was great to be able to like work at it. Like, it had to go to 70 degrees. I get no problems.
Well, and it was, if people had noticed at the beginning of the day where that actuator was, to the end of the day, actually showed that the moon had progressed across the sky
A long way.
a long way.
And even
And the number of times we had to move the tent.
but even Ron was actually taking some video because he said, because it was obviously in creep mode, and it would just go,
Yeah.
And you actually really couldn't see it. So Ron actually took some video of it up close, you know, and it's amazing. Like, because most people look up and go, "Oh, yeah, the sun and the moon, they don't move very fast," but
They do.
when you've got it, it's pretty surprising.
And if you don't set your thresholds on the tracking software properly, it sits there and goes.
But no, look, I recommend, like, you just got to stick with it. Just drink more whiskey and just stick with it.
Oh, I love it.
Because
Yeah.
it's real
Hang
easy
on
to
there.
give up. There's been a few times where I was ready to push it down the driveway. Those that know my driveway know the result that would be. But
And then Richard King would pick it up at the bottom.
yeah. But
And tow it
no,
down
look,
the road.
it's pretty good. So
Okay. Well, fantastic, Richard. That is excellent. So yes. Hello, Kim. Hello. So I one of the things you certainly have a look at, and I put a link on the Facebook page. And if you're a Ham Radio DX fan, Hayden did a great walkthrough with his camera.
he did two. He did one of Open-Day, and then he did one of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple of videos there on Ham Radio DX. We're putting together these into a video, and I've also got a whole lot of other images coming that show bits and pieces. There's an article that's been written for AR magazine, so you'll see that in the hopefully the next one. Won't be not the next one, the one after that, because the next one's on its way to us.
Okay.
I understand there's a field day photo in there that's from New Norfolk that I was told about accidentally in a phone call tonight.
Okay.
So I don't think I was supposed to be told about that, but anyway, that's another story. Anyway, there's some interviews in here. There's some other bits and pieces. We'll put them all together into a bit of an open day, which will video.
There's some pretty awesome stuff happening inside too. Like
I know, well and truly.
like I said, that's the only problem, because the stuff I was doing was pretty involved. Everything, the whole world just sort of slipped by. But when I came in to have a look, get the drink and stuff, there was lots of cool stuff happening inside. There was SSTV and
there was.
Hayden's.
This is before the thronging masses arrived, but you can see there was all sorts of things. There was the Ham Radio DX, the SSTV, which we'll hear about in a sec, from Steve. There was some Morse code going on. There was some SOTA and worldwide flora and fauna. There was ALARA. There was training and assessment table going on. There was our
Optical display. Yeah.
optical transceivers. The
5.7 gig stuff here that side as well. Yeah.
Well and truly, a slightly different angle. The OTV studio, then the club station. Now, actually, this is Alex's ER1BA's Russian certificate.
Oh wow.
So pretty impressive. There was Tasmania Maritime Radio next door was open, and that's Mike Jenner, VK7FB, who was showing people around and through.
Cool.
Now this is the ZL3 and VK7MO contact.
Sure. Gotta be happy with that.
So got a quick clicked image of that. What else is in here? That's the one we saw before. That's the dish. Here's the man with Randall, who was our JOTA person. Oh, there's the 5.7.
That's right. Yeah.
5.7 gig, and that was quite good, because as the thronging masses were getting coffee and things,
Yeah, they were looking at what's going on.
the image was disappearing, so
Yeah.
they were absorbing some 5.7 gig. That was the barbecue and the barista, our own barista Tony.
That's the Wyson.
Wyson tent, one of them. The JOTA tent with the Scouts with Randall. The other 5.7 gig, that was the other end of the... I think we've just done a circle. I think we have. So, and we've got a video of all sorts of bits and pieces. So we'll zoom that, edit that together. So anyway, that's our open day, which I think was very successful.
Pretty good successful. Yeah,
So-
we did a good job of showcasing what us weirdos do. I mean, us club members do.
Well and truly, well and truly. So what we might do is a swap over, Richard.
What's
I'll
that?
get you to swap over and we'll get Steve in, who's going to tell us the tricky little way he got perfect slow scan television images every time.
No, not quite.
So we'll do a bit of a changeover. So thank you, Richard.
No worries, thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And come in, Steve. And welcome.
Good evening, Dustin.
How you going?
I'm good, thank you.
Had a good day?
Yes, nice and quiet.
Oh, excellent.
We don't work hard at the council.
Oh, I thought you'd be out and about and zooming, making sure parking meters are doing their
Oh yes,
doing
we
their
make sure
stuff.
they work properly.
Yeah. and you know, making sure those scooters keep
that's
scooter
not-
trial keeps going.
That's not my department.
No, I'm being facetious.
You are.
I'm being facetious. So Steve was manning the slow scan television stand at the Open Day, and let drop the cool little arrangement that he had to.
I just had an idea
Okay.
because
Well, it's a pretty good idea.
The display was 2 screens, so 2 screens, 2 computers.
Yep.
And I thought, well, I can have one computer send SSTV from that one to the other one. That'd be pretty cool. But I'd like to use a real transmitter.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
you can connect the cable from one to the other, and that will work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I want to use a real transmitter.
Yeah.
So what am I going to put together in such a tearing hurry?
Something with an air gap.
Yes, so something that involves a transmitter and a receiver, and I thought, well, something I'd sort of toyed with, this little device here, you might want to put it on the zoom in, contains a photo interrupter sensor out of a fax machine. I mean, you could have got these out of a photocopier or anywhere, but that little black device in the middle with the 2 little square posts is a optical switch.
So, what normally does is there's a little interrupter that goes between here.
That's right. And it's just an on-off. And it's normally used to detect paper going through a machine. And the idea of that is that the little plastic flag that interrupts the light doesn't have any pressure on it.
Yeah, okay.
So the paper can push that thing quite easily because there's no weight in it whatsoever. And that's how it normally will work. I thought, well, this is a switch.
Great.
But the switch is, on one side it's an LED,
Yep.
in this case an infrared LED, and on the other side it's a photo transistor.
Yep. Yep.
And in that little air gap, there's a tiny little slot on each housing so that the light goes from one to the other and nowhere else.
Yep.
I said, okay, is it possible to send an audible signal through this?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I thought, okay, out of my head, so like, I might be able to do this. I thought, I need to bias the LED on,
Yep.
so I need to find the
sweet
correct
spot.
resistance.
Yes.
So I'm going to power this thing off USB, so the other end of the lead is USB,
Okay.
just to get 5 volts.
Okay.
So I'm going to power it off 5 volts USB, so I thought, I don't know exactly what resistance value I need because I don't know the characteristics of the device. But it's going to be a few hundred ohms, so
Yep.
I started playing with the pot and ended up, I put in there a small resistor there as a limiter so I didn't blow the thing up.
Yep.
Ended up taking the pot right down to 0, I said, okay, well the resistor's all I need. Just took the pot out.
Okay.
Then I thought on the other side, photo transistor probably needs biasing as well, it won't need as much. I ended up ran about 50k,
Okay.
so I ended up using a 47k resistor
Okay.
to bias the photo transistor on. Then all I needed to do then was a couple of capacitors to isolate the
Yep.
input and output from
AC coupling.
the
Yeah,
DC,
Yep.
and that's the circuit.
Okay.
I put that on the little thing, and that is the actual circuit. And surprise, surprise, it worked.
So input through a bit of AC coupling onto
The LED, which
LED.
is biased from 5 volts,
yep, and then the photodiode, which you'll notice
photo transistor,
the
yeah.
phototransistor, the base is missing out of this because it's in effect it's the light side of.
That's the light, yeah, the light biases the transistor on.
Yep. And so there's bias resistor of 47k, which is,
Yep.
and then a bit of AC coupling, to an output. Fantastic.
Yeah. So I just use 0.01 mic capacitors.
Yep.
And I even put one across the supply for some filtering.
Okay.
I thought this will work. So I plugged it in without the supply.
Yep.
And it worked like a treat. I thought, hang on.
Without the supply.
Without the supply, it worked like a treat.
Hey, that's impressive.
Something's not right here. Turns out, if there's no supply connected, then it doesn't look at the diode or the transistor. It just simply follows the two resistors.
Right.
So it goes from input to output via the two resistors, which happens to be around about the right amount of dropping to take it from line level to microphone level, which is what I was going into. And it worked really well. I thought, but if you interrupted the device, nothing happened, of course.
Oh, yeah.
No, okay, so we put some 5 volts on there. With the 5 volts on there, the level dropped.
Okay.
That was the thing I noticed most. The level dropped a lot.
Okay.
So, but if you interrupted it, the signal disappeared.
Yeah, so it was going.
And you could attenuate it. So, for instance, an ordinary sheet of paper put in the gap would attenuate the signal by about 90%.
Well, there you go.
But not completely. That's okay. So, it worked. Of course, it's got some foibles. One is that the output levels are too low.
Yeah, okay.
Secondly is that it's very susceptible to computer noise. Because you could listen to this dee 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 dee, which is exactly the sound that the working computer was making of the things it was displaying on the screen.
Yep.
Whether the light from the screen was getting into the device or whether it was coming down the USB cable, I wasn't going to spend time figuring that out.
Yeah, okay.
It worked, it just worked.
Yep.
But it did the job.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if I put an output amplifier onto it, I'd do a bit more filtering on the supply, separate the two SARs so that they've got individual supplies.
Yep.
It's bound to work really well.
Yeah.
But
okay.
as a proof of concept, it's there.
Fantastic.
It's rough and ready, and it works.
I love it. I love it. And it was a transmitter and receiver.
at 214 terahertz.
There you go. There you go.
Or thereabouts.
I love it.
Yeah.
So in the actual display, what you were just literally transmitting a whole lot of images. What was the?
The idea was, if anybody was interested in how does SSTV work, we could simply show them by transmitting an image from one side, one computer, to the other side.
And they could hear the...
And the receiving computer was feedbacking the sound into the speaker, so you could actually hear what it sounded like.
Okay.
And so from that point of view, it worked quite well, but if you look very, very closely, the quality wasn't quite there.
Yeah, okay.
You know, there's all these little interference-y things going on.
But that's real world. That's great.
That's right. It looked real world, and at the same time, I had display of DX images that I'd received over the years.
Yep.
Also had a display of images from the ISS.
Yep.
All real world stuff. None of it's fake. It's all real.
Yep.
So no
fake news here.
No. So yeah, it was meant to look realistic, and hopefully it inspired somebody.
Fantastic. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
and lots of colour and movement. So
yeah, but that little toy, it's just an idea that it worked.
Fantastic. Good stuff. And repurposing too. I like it.
Yeah, everything was out of not so much out of the junk box. Some of these parts were brand new, but I had them in my collection. So I didn't buy anything for it. I already had all the stuff. So
I love it. I love it.
All there, including a USB A to B lead, really high quality, but completely useless to anybody. So it got reused.
Reuse. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I know.
But, it works.
I said to someone about the 5.7 gig AV sender stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing that I actually bought
The boxes, wouldn't it?
was the box.
Yeah, the housing.
The two boxes.
Yeah.
The two die-cast boxes, which was enough, because two die-cast boxes aren't cheap. But anyway,
They're expensive.
But that's the only thing I actually bought. That's the rest of it came out of the junk box, came out of various other bits and pieces, and the AV senders have been sitting there for a very long time because they were purchased at Alan Ruthven, the ZAR, ZAR, and I made a long time ago. So anyway.
There you go.
And I do want to do a little bit of experimenting with them as well, so to see how far we can actually get with them. So
with those dishes, a fair way, I reckon.
With those, yeah. But I also want to now put a push to talk button on there, so you can actually interrupt and stop the transmission, because I have a feeling that even though they're different frequencies and they're different polarizations, the descents on the receivers will be substantial.
It probably is,
yeah. So to get the maximum out of it,
yep.
I'll put a I'll put a momentary and a permanent push to talk button on it,
Yep.
and we'll see how far we can get.
Absolutely. Sounds like a great idea.
So yeah, but I when I thought about it, I thought, well, actually, the only things I really bought was the boxes. So there you go.
Yeah. And it was a great result. Nice project.
Oh, well, truly, and even if it's only becomes a demonstrator, demonstrator arrangement.
Like this. I mean, that's a piece of cable No, it's not. That's the plastic trim off blaster board.
Oh,
A couple
okay.
of pieces of that and a little bit of heat shrink. That's the housing.
There you go.
It's
I
just a bit of scrap I had laying in the
Spot
shed.
on.
So,
And it allows you to put the piece of paper in the slot and actually interrupt the flow.
well,
of
you could use
data,
rice paper, and you could different types of paper will give you different amounts of attenuation. But this piece of paper is around about 90%.
Yeah. Okay.
So even through the noise, you can still see the image.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And
there you
then
go.
something more solid, like 3 or 4 sheets of paper,
Yep.
totally blocks it out.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it worked.
Fantastic.
And that was just out of the head.
I love it.
Using circuit knowledge.
Yep.
That over the years, this sort of things become second nature to you.
Well and true.
Yeah.
Well and true.
Yeah.
That is fantastic, Steve.
Okay.
And also thank you for coming along to the Open Day and making it, contributing to the success.
Excellent. And being able to help Richard with his 10
Oh.
gig stuff was pretty cool.
That's a definite highlight from the day. It's not every day you have a 1.8 metre dish doing EME.
Tracking the moon and
Correct.
keep pushing the tent out of the way. And
I love it. I absolutely love it. So,
Yeah,
so good stuff.
it's
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
okay.
What we'll do is a bit of a reset on the. I'm just going to have a look at David. A lot safer looking at the moon than the sun. Yes, you're right, David. And Anthony G, 2.6 seconds delay. I have to say, the thing that probably gave me the biggest buzz when we did the echoes, Rex and I did the echoes of Apollo, which was the 40th anniversary of Apollo 11, the moon landing, out at the Big Dish, out at Richmond, just before Richmond, was that whole 2.6 second delay that actually demonstrates the physics behind it all. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So now, just let me. Now I have some interesting images. So. Some fascinating images that I very, very quickly took. Oh, hang on, who's that from? You missed a call. No? Okay, that's all right. Some fascinating images of tropo scatter. Now, one of the things that we have obviously been having some fantastic Hepburn activity, some tropo activity, which Richard was talking about with his 10 and 23 centimetre contact to ZL. One of the things that I noticed, this is on 6 metres. This is 6 metres Whisper. This is about a week ago. And there was a lot of aircraft flying around at the time. And I happened to look at the Whisper screen on 6 metres and to see some little artifacts on the side of this 6 metre Whisper signal. And all I can say is these are Doppler shift type artifacts on either side of the main signal as these planes flew through some of the paths. So I thought I'll take a photo of that because you don't see that terribly often. If you're into aircraft scatter, and I've got Rex's article on aircraft scatter that I'll show you in a sec in the latest DUBUS magazine. Then you come across this sort of thing quite often. Now, the other picture I thought I'd show you is something from last night, would you believe? When I'm not doing either 6 metre or 10 metre, 10 megahertz, so 30 metre whisper, I am doing 630 metre whisper, and 630 metres last night, there was a fascinating little bit of interference, narrow band interference, because this is whisper on 630 metres, so these are your 2-minute segments. There was a signal that wandered from all the way down, so this is your audio spectrum, audio bandpass, which is 0 down here all the way up to 2500 or 2.5 kilohertz of your audio bandpass. And there was a signal, a very narrow band signal just like this, that wandered across, and every so often it just did a little kick. So something was happening that just changed the frequency a couple of hertz, a couple of tens of hertz, and it wandered all over the place and then disappeared off the other end of the spectrum. So there was some sort of device or a frequency or a signal that was being put out by a device that was quite narrow band and just wandered in the 2.5 kilohertz passband. So there you go. So I thought I'd share those with you. The strange things that you see on Whisper if you're watching the screen as it's coming through. So there you go. Now, one of the things that happened just the night before, so the Saturday night before the Open Day, into my inbox came a couple of certificates. The very first one was the Sloth Award, which is, for those who don't know, Summit's on the Air. If you get a certain number of points, in this case it was 1,000 points of chaser points. So this is where I have contacted a number of other activators, and that has added up to 1,000 points in the chaser section, all SSB, and I got this. I was eligible for this on the 31st of December 2019. So that's a fairly unique date. That's double points day date, where you get, because it's SOTA is worked on a UTC day, and on the New Year's Day, if you get, because we're 11 hours ahead, if you get up to the summit and work it before 11 AM, you're in the previous year, and after 11 AM, you're in the next year. So you can rework the summit, so you get double points day on that. That's why it's called double points day, and that's why the 31st of December 2019 is a significant date. That got me 1,000 points. There are endorsements for 2,500, 5,000, etc., etc., and there are people up in that sort of range. The other one was, I talked about activating Mount Van Dyke a couple of weeks ago. A couple of the contacts I made to other summits when I was up there, there were two summits that I contacted, got me to 1,000 summit to summit points. So that was, there is a red endorsement which is 250 summit points, which I got on the 25th of January 2015. And then there was the 500 points of summit to summit points, which was the 31st of December, one of those magic dates again, 2015. And then the silver award, which is 1,000 points on the 16th of January. So and there's 2,500 points, and then there is a 5,000 point endorsement as well. So I can work towards those. So summit to summit and Sloth for those who are into SOTA, really worth getting into and putting in for the certificates. So there you go. Now, the latest DUBUS magazine appeared in my inbox, in my letterbox. Yes, an actual letterbox. A thing in the street that they put letters in every so often. Now, it is the 50th year of DUBUS, so fairly special edition, this one, for the fourth quarter of 2021. This is the last one in 2021. So it is the 50th year of DUBUS, and Rex, our resident microwave guru, has a wonderful article on 10 gig aircraft scatter with Q65 and the test that he's been doing with Roger Rear, who is W3SZ, on 10 gigs, and Roger, I understand, has been doing a lot of the calculations and bits and pieces, and they've been coming up with all sorts of tests. Wonderful article testing all of the different types of Q65 modes over various distances to and crossing angles for the aircraft. Lots of analysis of different scenarios, and many screen grabs, etc. Using examples of using the enhanced decoder. A little bit about false decodes and also practical considerations. So that's now, for those who don't know, DUBUS is a dual lingual magazine, so you get all the articles in both English and also in German throughout the magazine. What else is in here? There's a 12 gig 1/8 pre-scaler, a closer look at the filling factors, daily microwave propagation index for Central Europe, a high gain dual polarized and low noise disc yagi for 23 centimeters. That's part 2, because that was in the third quarter DUBUS. More is not always more. Notes on sunspot and HF propagation. So, interesting article about the prediction of the sunspot cycles. What about errors in measurement with directional couplers with Dmitry Fedorov, who is UA3 AVR, who's a regular contributor, as well as all of the reports from the various countries and regions on microwave activity. So as I read through this, I'll probably bring in more articles and we'll go into it in a bit more depth. But the big thing is 50th year of DUBUS this year, this last quarter of 2021, and a great article by Rex and Roger in there for that particular magazine. So. Well worth it. It comes out every quarter. If you're into microwave experimenting, it's a fantastic resource. They put them together each year into a Technics volume. They pick out articles and put it into a sort of what would you call, an almanac of of articles. And well worth a look. Absolutely well worth a look. This is a lot of this is bleeding edge sort of research into amateur microwave experimentation. So really good if you're into that. Now, what we just do a time check here. Oh, okay. We will finish up now. We've just gone over the hour, so I'll try to keep it to a maximum of an hour. So just a quick reminder, we've got our AGM, our annual general meeting for REAST this Sunday, the 6th of February, from 11 a.m. After the AGM, there is a presentation by the repeater subgroup on its plans and the roadmap for repeaters in southern Tasmania. So it should be a good presentation by Damien, VK7DS, SD, sorry Damien. I always get that around the wrong way. And there's also a free barbecue and for members, and a car boot sale as well after that, so should be good. Now, a couple of the videos for our RF viewers. One that was sent through by VK7 NFI who was up at the Open Day from Remoticon 2021, which is was a virtual online security type conference that was held. There is a guy who outsmarts his smart meters, his power smart meters. So a bit of an interesting article on how he goes about working out how these smart meters actually work and how they mesh together into a mesh network and a few other things. So interesting, very interesting video. So we'll get underway with that. Anyway, that's our show for tonight. Thank you to those people who called in, to Murray and Anthony and David. Great to call in, and any others who are watching. There's a few out there. Hope you got something out of the night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and we'll get back underway next Wednesday night. So 73, and we'll stay safe. And we'll catch you then.